You're listening to the Impact Theory Podcast, your source of empowering ideas and actionable techniques from the world's highest achievers. Join host Tom BILYEU, serial entrepreneur and co-founder of the billion-dollar brand Quest Nutrition, on a journey to unlock your potential and realize your vision of success. Welcome to Impact Theory.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Relationship Theory. I'm your co-host, Tom BILYEU, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Lisa BILYEU, who is rocking the Christmas spirit.
I am.
And apparently you're on the naughty list.
So yeah, in case you can't see
I can confirm that.
On the naughty, you can confirm that, can you? Will I still get a gift?
Oh, more than you can imagine, my dear.
So guys, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, submit them in the comments below and we'll get started.
Let's do it. Jump right in.
Oh, Jesus.
The water's warm.
Pressure. All right, let's jump right in. Okay, so we want to announce the last week's results because you seemed horrified that we didn't have the week before. I was horrified. I'm going
to keep it real with
which
you.
actually was very endearing, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it's cute. I didn't expect it. Okay, so last week's Would You Rather, here was the question. Would you rather date someone with low self-esteem or someone who is unjustifiably cocky?
And if you didn't already answer last time, drop into the comments right now. We want to know what you think.
Yeah.
Or at least I do. Lisa apparently doesn't care, but I care.
No, I do. Okay, and the results are 6 people said low self-esteem.
Okay.
1 person said cocky. Do we know if that was a man or a woman?
I think it was a man.
It was a man that said they want someone cocky. Wow. All right. Interesting. Yeah. And 2 people basically said neither. So they'd rather be alone.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which, yeah.
They cheated.
They did cheat a little. I was about to say.
Yeah,
but
it's like, I don't want either, but...
But his was actually even more interesting. 3 people said that low self-esteem and unjustifiably cocky are actually one and the same. Because you're unjustifiably cocky to cover up for your insecurity, low self-esteem.
Sort of. Then I guess which manifestation do you prefer? I'm not entirely sure. Like, there's a symmetry to that I love, and they both come from not great, emotionally stable places. I don't know that I totally agree. It's like bullying, for instance. Bullying happens because they feel powerful when they're bullying you. So even if, the need and or desire to bully ultimately boils back to an insecurity, the reality is bullying you makes them feel good. It isn't like they're crying inside while they're doing it. I want that to be true. That would be amazing, but it's not true. So that's the bad news. So I'm not entirely sure the people that are unjustifiably cocky are always insecure. They may actually be cocky about that thing. That may be the one thing that they really believe that they're good at, and they need to cling to it. So anyway, I could derail us on that.
I was going to say, we could derail.
I find those motivations very interesting.
All right, so we've got a kickoff question from last week. It's a kickoff Would You Rather.
Wow.
Sorry.
Let's do it.
All right, so kickoff Would You Rather, guys. We want you to join in, put in the comments below. Would you rather, and Tom doesn't know these, they're always new to you.
Yes.
So would you rather have your trust broken by your partner, but the aftermath makes your relationship stronger, or never have trust issues at all?
Wow, that is amazing.
One.
Is that another Shady Old Lady special?
It is, in fact, because you kind of hinted to what it was, but I so didn't expect it to go in that direction. That's a good one. I'm going to repeat it for the people at home, so please put in the comment box. Would you rather have your trust broken by your partner, but the aftermath makes your relationship stronger, or never have trust issues at all?
You know, it's so to me, this is going to separate the world into buckets, and I'm going to go with the literal wording of the question. I want to be very clear about my answer because it would change if words were slightly changed. So I would rather have broken trust followed by a stronger relationship, because to me it's the exact formula of you make a mistake, you have a growth mindset, you learn from that mistake. Mistakes really are the most powerful lessons you're ever going to encounter, if and only if you're willing to accept that you made a mistake, open yourself up, be humble, make the change. So that's, to me, I read that question exactly the same as I read, would you rather make a mistake and get better because of it, or never make a mistake? Like, I'd rather make a lot of mistakes if I'm actually going to grow and get better and improve. And that has been such a potent force in my life. I'd rather trust issue followed by a stronger relationship, which is the word that is very important. If it was broken trust, even if it was followed by more trust, if it comes out the other side that important thing is better, then I'll take the mistake.
I'm always looking for ways to strengthen our relationship. I think, our relationship is very strong.
So I should just start breaking your trust?
The funny thing is, and I was like, but I don't want you to ever lose the trust. So, God, that's a tough one. But ultimately, I think like you, it would have to be like, if we could truly come out the other side stronger for it, then I think that. But in an ideal world, we have an incredible relationship and we're strong because
There's no cheating. This is a
all
would you rather,
right,
homie.
there you go. All right, damn it.
Everybody's always trying to take that third option.
Yeah, why not? Try. Okay, great. All right, so hopefully you guys answered at home, and now we'll go on to the kickoff question.
Yes.
This is from Saul Martinez. Hey, Tom and Lisa, you guys are awesome. So I made a stupid mistake about a year ago. Didn't physically cheat, but it was still wrong what I did. I absolutely regret it and have been trying to prove myself all year. She's still very insecure and has trust issues, with good reason. I just want to know what we both can do to kind of get us back to a healthy place. We have a 5-month-old baby, just to throw another wrench in the works. And we've made the decision to stick this through no matter how hard it gets, but we don't want to be toxic to each other. Thanks.
Wow, that's super self-aware. To me, there's only one solution to this problem, and that is the person. First of all, I want to acknowledge him. Not only did he ask the question, which is brave, he put his name, which I think is amazing. He's not trying to hide. Like, he's clearly owning this mistake. So that's pretty incredible. And then I think there's only one way to solve this problem, and that is she needs to, or whoever, to make it broader, whoever the person is that's having the trust issues needs to detail out what they would need in order to have trust again. Because the honest answer is at some point the trust is a leap of faith, where you just decide, I'm now going to trust this person again. And so there's never going to be a time where it's just like, oh yeah, like it all feels right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you need to lay out what you would need to be true in order to feel that, in order to be willing to take the leap of faith again, to have that trust. And then once those conditions are met, then you actually need to take the leap of faith. So, and if you can't deliver on that, then it's like either it extends or you realize we're just never going to be able to do this. Or worse yet, if you get to that point, he's delivered on everything that you asked him. If you just find yourself constantly moving the goalpost, constantly moving it was not enough, it's not enough, I still don't feel there, I'm not ready, then it just may not be savable. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think that I really admire that they have a 5-month-old and they're really trying to make it work. And everything you just said is exactly right. Like, if that was me and I didn't trust you, I would be very honest about what I would need from you. So it's like, I would need to, like, if I want to just check your phone randomly, you can't push back. Like, that's what I'm going to need to be able to get into that trust. Because over time, it just may seem like, oh my gosh, she's crazy and she keeps checking my phone, and like, lay it all out. This is what I think I need. But also, I think you might need like a deadline at some point, because it's like, what are you going to do that for the next 10 years? So I think you, like you said, you almost need to reassess each time, like, or, once a week or once a month, like, how do we think this is going? Do we think we're actually progressing? Like, having just a reality check. Because like you said, you may think this is what you need, and then it comes time and you push that goalpost because you're like, wow, shit, I'm still not there. And I think that being bitter or holding on to resentment won't help them, won't help the relationship, and definitely won't help their child. So at some point, if you feel like you've tried everything as much as, and look, it's easy for me to say because I'm not in that situation. I don't have a 5-month-old, but I think this is how I would act, is that at some point we need to be happy, and it's not good for the child if we're always arguing and we don't trust each other, because if the kid will pick up on that eventually. And so it's important to acknowledge that, yes, you want to try for the kid, but also, are you guys happy, and have you tried everything possible to get your relationship on the straight and narrow? Because if you haven't, or if you have tried everything and you're still not connected, then I think seriously considering what is best for the child and splitting up may be that answer.
No question.
So, all right, so on to the next question. Hi, this is from Tess R. Pereira. I'm always butchering last names. Sorry, guys. Hi, Tom and Lisa. I admire your solid partnership. I have 2 questions. 1, how do you restore trust in a relationship, and how do you get your partner on board with this effort? And 2, after a breach of trust, how do you know if a relationship is worth saving versus knowing it's time to let go?
Well, to answer the last part first, I think that at the end of the day, it gets so into the specifics of what happened and how the trust was violated, which will determine whether or not I want to work on it. But there's, in the business side of things, there is an acronym called WOOP, which is Wish, Outcome, Obstacle, Plan. So what's your wish? What's the outcome that you want to come from that wish? What's the obstacle that stands in the way of that? And what's the plan to actually get there? Now, you do all of that to then assess, when I look at what it's going to take to get over this betrayal or whatever, am I met with excitement? Like, oh my God, yes, I'm willing to put in that work. And on the other side, I think our relationship would be better. It'll be amazing. Like, I'm actually glad this happened. And you're looking at it that way. And like, to the first, would you rather? It's like you can really see and feel that your relationship is going to be better on the other side. So if you do that WOOP plan and you feel good and empowered and positive and optimistic, it's worth it. If on the other side of that, you're like, Jesus, I'm just going to be back with the same person, and that's not my only issue, and there's actually a whole litany of things, and you know what? This is kind of like that thing I've actually been looking for, and now this gives me a chance with good reason to say, you know what? I've just had enough. Hey, there you go. You know, like that the relationship is not worth saving at that point. And I think that really does come down to just gut instinct, gut reaction. You can think about it all day long. In your gut, and we know my obsession with the actual gut and how many neurons there are, and it's roughly, in fact, we just had on Health Theory, which Shady Old Lady produces that. We just had Dr. Emmerin Mayer on the show, and he talked about how Emmerin Meyer on the show, and he talked about how it's as big as the spinal cord, which I've never heard somebody talk about, like in terms of density. He said the number of neurons. I was really surprised by that. So I've heard it referred to as a cat brain, but that both give you a sense of like how potent and powerful the gut really is in terms of feeding you up something that doesn't feel logical or thought through in that way, which I think people then struggle and they think, oh no, I really need to like enumerate this. But really in that there is actual brain material doing that quote unquote thinking. And I think that in many ways, the logic side of your brain is simply going to try to justify what you already feel. So really trusting that. That's why people tell you, when you can't make a decision, flip a coin. When the coin's in midair, you have a feeling,
yeah,
right, of what you want to happen. And so learning to trust that gut, every word that I'm going to say around it is to that. Like tap into, identify what your gut is telling you as to whether or not you're going to move forward. And one thing that I was going to add to the last one, but I wanted to keep my answer really concise, is that I just lost it. And rather than waffle,
after breach of trust, how do you know if a relationship is worth saving versus knowing it is time to let go?
Yeah. There was something I was going to add to that nobody has a moral obligation to stay in a relationship. Like, as you were talking about, we have a 5-month-old baby, and we have to do what's right for the child. Sure. But like, also you have to do what's right for you. This is your life and you need to live it. And I think it's super weird that parents click over into this, like the child's the only thing that matters. The child is not the only thing that matters. The child is incredibly important, maybe even first, but you also matter. So if it's like, oh, it would be a little lame to like stay in the marriage, but you know what? It'll still be an amazing life. Okay, great. But if it's like, this is going to suck, I'm going to hate every day of this, and I'm going to do it for the child, that's ridiculous in my worldview. Absolutely, patently ridiculous. So I'll stop there.
Yeah. I think for me, if you broke my trust, I would immediately go to, like, if it wasn't cheating, because I've obviously made it very, very clear that if you ever cheated on me, no, exactly. I
love that those rhyme.
I literally would I would walk away. I know that about myself. I know myself well enough to know I won't be able to overcome this. And to be honest, I don't want to overcome it.
That is more true.
Yeah, I really don't. Because if you cheated on me, for me, because, and it's kind of like twofold, because I've put the line in the sand and you still did it, that speaks so loudly to me.
Sure.
Because it's like,
oh, and you're so stubborn like that.
I
as
am
well.
stubborn,
like,
and I put that line in the sand when we first met. So part
100%.
of it would be because I was so strict on it, and I've told you so many times, and you still did it. That shows the type of respect that you have for me, right? Because I get that cheating can be mistakes, but yeah, I think I've just made it so clear, and you're so aware of your emotions and your thoughts and your actions that I would call absolute BS if you turned around and was like, oh my God, I didn't mean to. I didn't know what I was doing. I was caught up in the moment. It's like, I've seen you caught up in your emotional moments and you can still control yourself. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. So if it was cheating specifically, I would immediately let go. I would walk away. If it was other trust issues, because I am so in love with you, because we have a history together of 17 years, because I so identify myself as one part of a whole with you, I would do everything I could to make it right. And I would sit down with you, and it would be like beating a dead horse, right? Like, okay, where are we now? And if it had to be every day, I would do it every day. I'd be like, all right, today, this is where I think we went wrong. This is how I feel. And this is what I need from you. And what do you need from me? And I would be so detailed about how I'm feeling on a daily basis and communicating that with you, that I would do everything I could. And that's how I would assess my actions there. But eventually, if I felt like, wow, it's been 6 months and it's now eroding my self-esteem, and this is now eroding me as a human being, and I don't feel like I can be the best me because of this, I would then go, all right, so maybe it's not right for you. Even if I wanted it so badly, if it was completely destructive to who I was for a long period of time, I would go, I've got to put myself first. So, what are your thoughts? I can so see in your eye.
No, the funny thing is, I'm totally with you. And I struggle every single time with, like, I've heard you, and I don't know if I need to say, like, word, I got you right, I'm with you. Like, I always feel like, am I just trying to have the last word? So I want to, like, silently acknowledge, I guess, that it's better to say, like, I'm with you. I totally get it. Fair enough. I totally hear you. I totally get it. And it is an answer that, were we off camera, we would talk about it for like 45 minutes. It's so fascinating.
About what?
All of it. It's just so intriguing. Yeah. Like the way, like underneath the answers that people just heard is like, we come to similar conclusions from like just dramatically different places. Yeah. Like for you, like the whole thing of like, I've made it so clear and you still did it, and that shows what you think of me. I don't think like that at all. Like that's so you. And like, I so understand that. And my thing is, you're right. 100%. I control my behavior at all times. Even when I've been drinking, which is admittedly rare, but even when I'm drinking, like I have no sense of being out of control. None. Like I'm never like, oh, I'm going to do something I wouldn't otherwise do. Like that's so, I can't even understand that. So I have what I call the overwatch mechanism. The overwatch is ever present no matter what I'm doing. So yeah, if I cheated on you, it would be you'll never hear me be like, saying, you know, oh my God, like I was out of control and it just like got caught away. I would never. So I totally get why for that reason you'd be like, but I know you and I know that that's not what happened. And for me to cheat, it would take a complete collapse of our relationship. So by then it's like, I mean, even then 100%, we agreed like in year one, it was, you said to me, and that always resonated with me. You're like, look, if you need to like be with somebody else, go be with somebody else, but break up with me first. Yeah. And I thought, respect. Like I totally get that. So yeah, that, I mean, it was just like, it would be a collapse of who I am as a human being, I think is the real honest answer. So, and then you've got this whole like principles thing.
And the funny thing is we are very different. And I know that a lot of people watching at home, I think have that, right? Where certain things about them and their partner are complete polar opposites. And for us, we are very polar opposite with this sort of thing because yeah, I do, thanks to my lovely mother, I'd like to blame her. But I do have those types of morals and lines in the sand where it's like, and I try to be very clear because I think you have to set everybody up for success. So let them know what those lines are, because sometimes people cross it and they don't realize. So for me and you, I always thought, okay, these are the two things that in a relationship I don't ever think I can overcome. And so I just made it clear from like date one, like these are the things. And I know that you don't work like that, and that's not how your mind works. And we've debated that a lot. And what I love is that you don't try then to change me. You definitely tell me your opinion. And
anymore.
Yeah, anymore. You're right, actually.
I used to be a psycho about that.
Yeah, you did. And then it just ended up being a disaster because then we would butt heads. And it's like, look, I just need you to respect this is where I come from. And I hear you. You're trying to change my mind. I need to be very open to the fact that you have a different opinion, because if I can change and it betters my life, why not? But we've discussed it so many times. And for me, especially with something like this, it's like, I'm not going to budge. And now you've come to the point where you absolutely respect it. You don't try and change my mind. But you're very open that you think I'm still like crazy about it, which is fine.
And the word crazy like is fine for you and I when it's just us. But I will say for a general audience,
yeah, that's true.
It's counterproductive, right? So you're actually moving away from what you want in the way that the whole,
that's
like, it's the principle of the thing. Yeah. Like it doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
So, but anyway. That's one where I could do an entire episode on that. I will restrain myself.
All right, on to the next question. All right, this is from Charles Rowe. Loving the show. What are some tips you can give for trying to make someone feel good about themselves when they're around you?
That's so powerful. And in the wording of his question, I know that he gets it. So it's about feeling good. Feeling, make the other person feel good. So the temptation is to say positive things occasionally and feel like you've somehow done your duty. But the reality is, the real question you have to ask about anyone in your life is, what do they feel when you walk into the room? What do they feel? And
can I just stop you for a second?
Yeah.
It seems so easy now or so clear now, but I remember when you first told me that, because you're like, baby, I just want you to feel good when you're around me. And I was like, it again seems so like easy and normal, but you're so right. It's like, if someone doesn't feel good around you, then why would they want to be around you? So anyway, sorry.
No, not at all.
So powerful when you said that to me.
And what's interesting about feelings is feelings have everything to do with everything leading up to that moment and very little to do with that moment. Now, that doesn't mean that in a truly codependent relationship, which I think people can get into with their boss, their employees, there's a million people whose emotions then become like they infiltrate your emotions in that moment. So I'm not talking about that necessarily. I'm talking about like, you're, let's say, in a neutral state. How does that person feel when they see you, right? So that has everything to do with your relationship leading up to that point. So it's like steering a boat. It doesn't happen automatically. It takes a lot of time to change somebody's feeling about you. And so that requires consistent behavior over time. So the answer is all of that. If you want to impact how somebody feels about you and feels good about themselves, you've got to be consistent over time with being optimistic, with being positive, with being welcoming, with being excited to see them, of seeing the good in them and not the bad, of, listening when they need you to listen. And that's an example from this morning and it was very, I won't derail on that, super interesting to me, like how even all these years later,
I'm so curious
I can
now.
still I don't even see what you're looking for, because my worldview is the Matrix. It is so ever present that I don't even realize that it's there. So my thing with, I just want to solve the problem. So you present a problem in it. Your worldview is so ever present. You just assume that I'm going to see that what you need.
Do you want to explain what?
No, because then we'll just derail on that.
Okay.
So let's stick on this. So I recognize in that moment that that's like, in the columns of make you feel good, make you feel bad, that's a deposit in the make you feel bad column. Now, I like to think that it's just overwhelming on the make you feel good. So a few drops in the bucket on the make you feel bad side, like whatever it is. Nobody's perfect. And so there's going to be missteps like that. So, but that on balance is what you're looking for, right? And so the whole notion where I say use your impulse to criticize, mental jujitsu it and flip it around, and instead of criticizing, use it as an opportunity to authentically compliment. And that came from me realizing like both the criticism and the compliment are real. But if I'm always leading with a criticism, which are usually pretty minor, especially compared to the things that I really feel about you that light me on fire, that are amazing, that if I'm always dripping on those and externalizing those, but I'm not taking the time to externalize the very real things about you that I love and are amazing, and oftentimes are actually even related to the thing that's winding me up. So I just realized, man, it has everything to do with what you externalize, and it has everything to do with the ratio of negative to positive. So if I can just make it super tactical. And in fact, there's a guy named Jeffrey Canada that looked at why people that grow up in the inner cities end up not succeeding as much as people that grow up in middle-class families. And he said it really boils down to the following dead simple formula. It's the number of words that a child hears by the age of 5 and the ratio of positive to negative words. Has everything to do with their emotional centers and their language centers. And I thought, it is so terrifying that it's that simple. But he said, just looking at the studies, that's it. It's the raw number of words. So middle-class families tend to read to their children more. They tend to talk to them more. And then the ratio of positive to negative in a middle-class family is 70% positive, 30% negative. And in an inner-city environment, it's the exact opposite. So it's 70% negative, 30% positive. And he said that sets them up for their entire lives, good or bad. And that something similar would be true in a relationship where, go ahead.
No, go on.
I just want people to learn to do that when you see that the other person has something to say, to stop, because most people keep going. So what were you about to say?
No, go on, finish your sentence and then I'll...
That's pretty much it.
I mean, the one thing that I'll add though to that is you've got to know who they are and how they perceive what you're trying, like making them feel good, because what you may do for one person doesn't actually work for the other person. So for instance, like the book Captivate, so we read it, we did the whole test, and that's by Vanessa Van Edwards, who her bite went viral, 10 million views, super excited. But anyway, her book Captivate was so amazing, so enlightening. We'd been together, we did it 6 months ago. We'd been together for 17 years and we still learned something about each other with this book. And in the test, it basically said that for you, your language of appreciation is words of affirmation. And I was always doing things for you, making you food and thinking that that's how you felt good to be around me, right? Or you thought nice thoughts of me. And it really wasn't. You don't really associate acts of, what is it called?
Acts of service.
Acts of service.
So, yeah, don't get me wrong. I love them. Sure. But it's, they rank lower.
Right. But if it's words of affirmation, then I know that's how you feel good about yourself, or you feel good in general. So I thought, okay, well, now I'm just going to change my technique, because I really do want you, every time you're around me, to have nice thoughts and to feel good when you're around me. And vice versa. For me, it was, I want you acts of service. So you doing things for me, that's what makes me feel good. That's what gives me warm feelings when you boil the kettle for me. So I think it's also important that when you're around people and you want to make them feel good, you have to know the language that they speak.
No question.
So, okay, next question. This is from Kelsey Newman. My partner and I have similar viewpoints on life ambition, finances, family, etc., and a very good understanding of how the other acts and what they need when upset and or angry. While we have definitely had disagreements, we have never nor felt the need to yell at one another during a disagreement, which is great. My friend thinks it's strange and unhealthy to have non-argument yelling at your partner, and has a very different relationship with her husband. They ultimately believe that by not seeing each other at the absolute worst will lead to failure if and when it does occur. Do you think it's healthy or unnatural to have not yelling in a relationship?
So let me just sum that up. Do I think it's unhealthy to not yell at each other? Is that the question?
Correct.
That the very question just strikes me as super bizarre. So no, I don't think it's unhealthy. If it is deeply unhealthy to not talk about it, to not walk through it and explain to each other what's going on and come to an understanding, to really deeply internalize the other person's point of view and where they're coming from. That would be dangerous to a relationship. But if you're able to get to that point without yelling and screaming and arguing, like that seems like the absolute goal of learning to communicate with each other. So yeah, I literally don't even understand somebody that would think it's unhealthy to not yell.
Oh, I can tell you exactly why they're saying that. Because they have to justify why it's okay for them in their relationship to do it.
Sure. It's still crazy. I get the justification.
Right, but I'm saying like whenever someone projects something like that on me, where it's like people used to say, right, like I can't believe that you and Tom give yourselves over to each other so much. Like you trust him 100%. Like I've said this publicly, I never check your phone. Obviously when we were at Quest, like there was a lot of women that were like hitting on you, and it's like I never thought twice about it. It never bothered me. I never thought, oh my God, is he going to take someone up on their offer? Because for me, it's like I went all in, and people used to say I was crazy all the time. But I realized that it's that how they feel and they're projecting onto me, because they have maybe been cheated on in the past. Maybe they had put trust in somebody and they got their heart broken. So they're projecting that feeling onto me. And so I think in this sense, it's the same thing, where this person gets in arguments with their husband, and maybe it does help them. Maybe that's what they need as a release valve. I personally don't think that that's necessarily a great idea, because in heated arguments like that, you can say things that you regret.
I think it's entirely unproductive. I mean, it is unproductive. Yeah. So they've done studies on what happens when people allow themselves to express an emotion. There's a part of the brain that then has to justify the like size of the reaction. And when you have a big reaction, your brain goes, whoa, that must have been really important. It must have been really dramatic. I need to like, okay, wow, that was a big deal. So merely allowing yourself to ratchet up and get pissed and crank the volume and yell at somebody, it is actively moving you in the wrong direction, because your brain will then say, whoa, this was a really big deal, when in fact it probably wasn't. Yeah.
In fact, you're right, because we've had big arguments, especially early on in our relationship. And it just took so much longer to come down and de-escalate, because your emotions and the energy between you is so freaking heightened that it would take us like an entire day to really like level out and then have the productive conversation that could then allow us to move past that problem. But I think that that's why that person says it's unhealthy to not argue, because I think they just need to justify for themselves why it's okay for them to be in their relationship and them have that as a technique or something that they do.
100%.
All right. We got Would You Rather segment. All right, guys. Would you rathers? Put down in the comments, answer as we answer. We haven't seen these before. We're going to do rapid fire.
Oh, we got rapid fire now.
I don't know. I just made that up.
You're hilarious.
Because here's the thing.
Like, we're going to do rapid fire. Not really.
Every time we finish recording, you're always like, oh, we took too long in that segment. So I just thought out rapid fire.
I like it. Rapid fire. I've been begging for this. Here we go.
Ready?
I need the question.
All right, guys, you ready at home? Let's do this. Okay, would you rather? Would you rather have a lot of confidence but remain single forever, or have confidence that's entirely dependent upon your partner?
God, I hate these questions in the best way possible.
Confidence entirely dependent on your partner, because I know our relationship and you won't ever abuse that. And go.
Oh, God, this is rapid fire. Yes, that. But, they're both so horrible.
They're horrible.
And that one really sounds bad on paper, but like in secret, like cloaked, I'd be like, yeah, that one. That's the truth. It sounds terrible.
The funny thing is that, but if I was single, I would say single for sure.
Yeah.
I would say have
your
confidence.
eyebrows told the whole story there about like you're conflicted about that being true, but yeah.
But here's the thing, it is true. But because I trust you 100%, I think that
that's the thing. This is me answering a question about you.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's fair.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay. All right, remember, guys, answer below with us. Would you rather sleep in a separate room from your partner and get great sleep every night, or have to share a twin bed with your partner and get terrible sleep every night?
By myself. I couldn't answer that any faster. You got to be out of your mind. I am not sacrificing sleep. If we need to cuddle for a bit, we can cuddle. Let's get our cuddle on. Let's set aside time. But no way, nothing fucks with my sleep. Absolutely not. Was that fast enough?
How do you really feel, Mr. BILYEU?
I can't imagine that answer surprised you. We have never shared a blanket.
Yeah, so we never share blankets, and also because
crazy.
he likes it over his head and I can't breathe, so we just decided, hey, why bother sharing a blanket?
Yes.
But when I'm sick, that's the first thing you do. You literally you don't stay in the same room. We've gone like a week or even longer where I've got sick and then you've got sick, and then we've just gone in completely different rooms. But you're right. I feel differently. Like my connection with you, if I don't sleep next to you, I really do feel weird and different. I feel more distant from you. I have to fall asleep on your chest. God, I'm torn. My own bed. All right, next one.
Wow, I can't believe you're torn on that. That's madness.
And in fairness, I take up most of the bed, so
rapid fire.
You'd probably suffer more than I would.
Night. I was like,
okay,
so
would
small.
you rather
How is this happening?
have a bad long-term relationship and regret it, or never have a lasting relationship and regret it? So I'd rather not have a lasting relationship if I regretted it. If I learned something from it, and it's like, oh, wow, okay, I became stronger because he broke my heart, and now I was able to do this and this, and I couldn't have learned that if he didn't break my heart. Like, I would try and see the positive in it, but if I was just like out and out, like that was a complete waste of my years, then I'd rather not.
Yeah, if somebody's saying there are two paths before you, one, you get in a very long-lasting relationship and end up regretting it, and the other is you're just by yourself, by myself, in no uncertain terms. I have zero fear of being alone. Zero.
Yeah. All right. Back to fan question. Was that the end of the Would You Rathers?
Yeah.
Those are fun. That was
we like
good.
them so much. I
Get
know.
those
I just want
rapid
more.
fire though, man. I'm telling you, that's the money right there.
All right. And thumbs up, guys, if you like the rapid fires. Thumbs up to Michelle. Shady old lady. Sorry. Okay. Next question. This one comes from Dagwami Asefa. My girlfriend and I love your show, but whenever we are giving each other advice, she feels like I am being harsh and I feel like I'm just telling her the brutal truth. What should we do? Oh, I so want to answer this first.
Fire away.
Okay, so Dagmami, I totally understand how you feel, or I guess how your girlfriend feels, because we approach things in different ways. Because, especially since reading Principles, which has become even worse in our relationship, like you're just dead straight and you're dead blatant about things. And for me, it's like I have a different way of processing. I need sweetness. I need emotional understanding. And for you, you kind of see that type of thing as like a waste of time, and because you don't need it, I don't think you quite get where I come from.
If you'd used the word efficiency, I would have felt so heard and understood.
Yeah, sorry, you're right. Yeah, you're right. It's not efficient for you. And because you value your time so much with every little decision or every little thing you do, you then sometimes come across like you're annoyed because I want to talk about it a little bit more. And we've had this battle many times. And so I think it's needing to understand who the other person is, right? Because I try not to judge you on that. And so when you're harsh, and if you've like, it stung me a little, the first thing I always say is, okay, well, does he love you? Yes, of course he loves you. Do you think he'll ever purposely try to hurt you? No. So answering those questions for me it just brings everything back into perspective. And then it makes me realize, okay, so I know the truth in my head, but my emotions are now trying to dictate how I'm feeling about this issue. So I know that you love me. I know that you'll never purposely do something to hurt me. So if that's the case, I need to articulate to you how I'm feeling. And in fact, that's exactly what I did this morning. It's like, look, right now, this is what I need. I know that you want to handle it like this, but I really do need this for us to get to this result. And if we are result oriented, this is how I need to work to get here. And so then you will say, okay, yes, that's the result we need to get to, but, and then you'll put in your own 2 cents and we'll just talk about it. And I think the biggest thing for me is I do need you, because if you want me to hear you, if you want this result, I need you to not be brutal in your honesty. I want you to be honest, just not brutal in the way you say it and the tone you use.
I hear that 100%. And now for my own edification, would you say that I was brutal in my honesty this morning? Which was wow. Okay, so this is fascinating. Everybody lean in because shit's about to get really real here. So this was a microbiome related issue. You were very frustrated. Your stomach was hurting, and because my beef is like, we have an agreement that if you just need to be heard, say I need to be heard. Mm-hmm. And you didn't say that. You led with, like, here's an issue. And you even said like pattern recognition, and you were trying to help me recognize the pattern of like, this is when this happens and this happens and this happens. And so that put me into the mode of like, okay, so we're trying to recognize the pattern. So then let's figure out what the pattern was that led you to having that feeling. And then you pulled the, like, I just need you to listen. And it was like, okay, fair enough. Then I will stop the solving the problem mode. But by then you were already irritated.
So yeah,
and I felt like you pulled a fast one, because you started with like, here's the pattern recognition. This is what happens. And so then I went into deeper pattern recognition of what are you eating and doing then that causes that problem.
Right.
So if you had come down the stairs, because I've done this, there are times, go ahead.
Well, no, so giving people a little more context. So I wasn't feeling great. I was telling you, not feeling great. I'm in quite a bit of agony right now.
No, you didn't say that.
I'm in pain. I'm in pain. I was grabbing my stomach. So I was in pain, but anyway, okay, well, I wasn't clear enough to them, which is actually very important to know as well, that in my head, I was in agony.
Yeah, so, because you don't throw that around. So if you'd said agony,
yeah.
Ironically though, full confession, that would have put me deeper into solve it mode, because now I'm really traumatized. So that's interesting for me to reflect on as well, that what part of how I ended up there was not realizing the depths to which you were struggling, because you really are never abusive about, like, if you say agony, I'm like, whoa, because you're so like normally chill about that. But then as I say that out loud, I realize I would have just gone faster to solve it had I known you were really.
And I actually love that we're doing this in real time, because it's a good way of showing how we do communicate, and like the words that we use, like, oh, well, if you use this word, that actually means something very different to me, which means I would have acted differently. And to me, it's like, well, it was obvious. Like last night, I could barely get out of bed to brush my teeth. So it's like.
And it's funny because you didn't tell me that you were having a hard time getting out of bed to brush your teeth. I had no idea.
Oh, interesting.
So I knew there was like a really brief window where you weren't doing well.
Yeah.
And then it seemed to wear off, and that was in a meeting. So it's not like I could be checking in or anything. And by the end of the meeting, you seem fine. And so since sometimes the pain really is transient like that, I just thought, oh, she's better and this isn't a big deal. So when you woke up and you were making out like basically what you're saying now, which was, I've been in pain this whole time, but I had no idea. So because I didn't know that, then that puts me in one frame of mind, which is sort of low stakes, but let's figure out like what you're going through. And then the thing that I really reacted to was your sense of like total frustration, right? Like, I'm stuck in this situation and the situation is very frustrating. And that, because I hate seeing you unhappy, and this is where being codependent is a pain in the ass, because you then being frustrated means I start feeling frustrated with the situation, and I don't want to get sucked into that. So then I'm like, well, let's solve the problem. But then I'm trying to solve the problem and you just want to be listened to, but we've agreed and you didn't ask that I just
To be honest, it didn't even occur to me and I just forgot. So if you can help me in those moments when I first start going, okay, is this a moment you want to be listened to? Like, help. If you ask me the question, it puts it in my head because I wasn't really thinking of it. And I think that I've heard a lot of women, I don't want to like stereotype, but I've heard a lot of women that are like, I was doing this and I can't believe he doesn't realize. And like, you hear that a lot, right? Like, how long have we been together? And every time I do this, he does this and he doesn't realize this. And I try not to ever test you, right? And I try to be very upfront and honest about this is what I'm looking for in this. And it didn't occur to me until you weren't doing it. And so when I was saying like, I'm really, really frustrated right now, like I was doing so well and I've taken steps back, and you immediately go into like, but this is where your mind needs to be and this is what you need to do.
Even as you're re-explaining it now, I'm like, she's got to stop using those words.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's how I heard it. Like you.
That's how you heard what?
That's what you were saying. Like, you need to get your mind right.
Oh, 100%. Like, you clearly understood where I was. Right. And even now hearing you re-explain it, I feel that strongly.
That I need to get my mind
right.
Oh, I see. Sorry. I thought you meant I misunderstood what you were saying.
No.
Okay.
You like, and I was totally misreading what you needed.
Right. So 100%. You were saying, get your mind right because the mind and the gut are so connected. So right now when you're in the pain, like if your mindset is this way, then you're never going to heal. And I heard all of that, but in that moment, I was like, "Fuck the mind!" Like I just want my husband to feel.
And in fairness, you didn't react big like that.
No, I didn't.
I just want people to know
at
that.
all. In my head, I was thinking like,
fuck the mind.
Yeah, like fuck the mind. Like right now, to be honest, all I want is you to get up off the sofa and come give me a cuddle.
Right.
Like that's what I need, because you're right. You're absolutely right. I totally get that the mind affects the gut. And right now, I'm not helping it. I know that intellectually. But I know myself. And I know right now, because I'm in this emotional state, I can't think with my mind in a very, strategic way. All right, Lisa, you need to go meditate. You're in this moment. I just needed, in that split 5 minutes, I just needed a cuddle.
Right.
And that's exactly what I ended up saying to him. Right? I said to you, like, right now, I can't remember what word I used. Did I say sympathy?
No, you didn't. And in my head, I was screaming, she just wants sympathy. She just wants sympathy.
What did I say?
Which to me, like, and now this is just terrible, but like, to me, asking for sympathy is like not the right play.
Would say that.
You would never, but that's secretly what was going on, right? You needed some sympathy. And what you asked for, I think, were kisses and cuddles.
Kisses and cuddles, that's right.
Because I was frustrated that you were doing something that I know is counterproductive, I allowed that to creep into my behavior. Although, admittedly, I just went quiet.
But also, I totally recognize that I can't stay there, right? And so that's when me and you have tried to communicate.
And you were really right about that. You said, I won't stay here. You know I won't stay here. Right. And I was like, yeah, she's right. I know that. She processes fast.
Yeah. And from my perspective, I had to come at it in a very calm manner. And I know, like, I was dramatic just now. But yeah, I didn't say that. Like, I was very pattern recognition. So I know myself, and I know when I'm in pain or I've had a painful issue, that I do just want kisses and cuddles from you immediately. And then after that, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to get back on the straight and narrow. And I know that I'll figure it out, and I'll be tough, and I'll be strong, and I can get through it. But it was so important in that moment to say that to you, to be very calm, but very articulate in what I needed from you. And that actually made me feel better. Instead of getting myself all rattled up and going, I can't believe he doesn't realize that I just need this. It was like, no, let him know what you need. And then, step away, let your emotions calm down, and then be able to like proceed. But we never test each other. But it's a good reminder. So if you can actually just ask me, because I completely forgot to tell you what I needed from that conversation.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And for sure, I will try. But the fascinating thing is, from both of our sides, the worldview is so all-encompassing and so right that it didn't occur to me even for a second that you'd want anything other than a solution. It didn't occur to me, right? Like, really think about that for a second.
But now reflect back on how well you know me.
100%. I was startled when you finally said, what I need right now are kisses and cuddles. I was like, that's so obvious. And I can't believe that, like, it didn't even occur to me. Like, there are times where the emotion forces me in one direction, even though part of me is screaming, hey, what she really needs is this. And you know that. It didn't even occur to me until you said, like, what I really need are kisses and cuddles.
And I don't take...
Wow,
and I don't take that personally. Like, I know a lot of people like, well, if he loved me, it would occur to him. Like, that's one thing that we took off the table a long time ago. It doesn't make sense. Because again, I just asked myself the question, does he love me? Yes, of course he loves me. Okay, so why am I judging this one action by how you feel about me? Like, those two don't come together.
Right.
It's, I know you, and I know that sometimes things like that don't occur to you, but I know you and I know that you love me. So I don't blend those two.
And a fascinating part, and you were saying this back with Vanessa Van Edwards and Captivate, I every now and then will get hit by the weight of the reality that you actually think the way that you tell me you think. And
say that again.
So when you, like, for instance, if I were going through something and I was in pain or whatever, my every inclination is to lean into the pain, that this is a moment to impress myself, to fucking deal with it, to solve it, to just bam, 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 down a list of like, what do I need to do? So if I were in pain, I'd like get out a notepad, obviously in my phone or a computer, not an actual notepad. And I would just start, boom, 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 here are the things that I need to do. Here's what I need. I need to talk to this person, do that. And that would alleviate all of my woes. And efficiency, right? Like this, like, how can we do this as fast as possible? Everything would be like deadly efficient. And in fact, if I were in that zone, the thing that would end up causing tension between you and I is I would not tolerate a single stray word. Like, it's just got to be fucking deadly efficient. We don't have time for anything but efficiency. And that feels so right. It just feels like
so you don't understand
truth.
Why I
not understand. It feels like objective, like gospel universe truth. Like this is like a fundamental law of physics is how it feels.
Right.
I don't feel like, oh, I've chosen to think this. I feel like this is the only thing that makes sense. Okay. So every now and then, but I know that it's absurd from your point of view. Like, I get how stupid and crazy to be caught in that bubble and to deal with things like that with just like this total aggression and focus and all of that. And so I understand that from the outside, it is not objective truth. It is not a fundamental law of physics, and it's not, right? It just happens to be like, that's how I have the wiring proclivity for that. And then I have invested in that direction for almost 20 years of reinforcing it. And every now and then I'll remember, you actually don't think like that. And that you actually, the way that you tell me you think is actually how you think. So for instance, you hiding things. I can't even now, as I say hiding things, it's derogatory.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Like, Marilyn came up to me earlier and was like, "Oh, do you know where the placemats are?" And I said, "You're looking at the wrong
you're saying
person."
tidy, because you say hide, it makes it sound
but,
like...
but here my word choice is derogatory.
Yes.
Because it's so absurd to me that everything has to be like hidden, right? Okay. So anyway, you think the way that you actually think, every now and then the weight of that will hit me. But
here's the thing, you feel so strongly that in the past, because I've seen it benefit you, I'm like, oh, you're very persuasive. And so you're like, this is how, like, oh my God, this, you're very excitable, and like, this is what works. Really? This is what works for me. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense that I should do it like that. And I tried it your way. And because I just thought, oh, maybe my way's wrong because he always succeeds with the way he does it. And I tried it your way. And I just found like it was like almost hay on my back, and then eventually it was like the last straw that broke my back, and everything fell apart because I was so trying to not embrace how I was feeling that I just put it aside and put my feelings aside and was like, you can't, don't feel sorry for yourself, don't do this, like, and then eventually I would crack. And it hit me maybe a year or two ago where I was like, that technique works for him, and I've tried it. That isn't how I'm wired. And it actually makes it worse for me because eventually I do crack and crumble. And so I thought, okay, well, that technique just doesn't work. And the ultimate thing is, what is getting you the results, right? Like, if it's not getting me the results, then change it. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for me. And I've learned over time that what does work for me is, in that moment, be very articulate, bring my emotions down, but be very clear about what I'm feeling, so that you don't think like, wow, this has come out of left field, or like, I had no idea that you were feeling like that. So just let him know, this is what I need, because you're not a mind reader. And I think that is so important. People think other people know exactly what you need. It's like, unless you say it, you don't know. Like, we've been together for 17 years. And so for me, it's, make sure he knows exactly what you need. Let him know how you're feeling. And I have found it like has changed me so much and allowed me to not just crack under pressure when I've had all of that piling on.
Word.
I think we completely derailed.
Oh,
but hopefully that was
15 minutes ago.
Yeah, hopefully that was somewhat beneficial to people, because that's really how we process things. Okay, this comes from Sean Bremer. How would you overcome insecurities caused by your ex cheating on you so that you can move on with your life?
So for me, this is very simple. One, if you've decided that that's not something you're going to try to work through, I would break up with them. And then for me, insecurities come down to one very simple fact: insecurities don't help. So insecurity, if it's motivating you to do something about it and change, okay, rad. Like, that's great. Make the change. If you're not going to make the change, or it's something you can't change, let's say that she cheated on you because you're under 6 feet tall, whatever. nothing you can do to change that. So wasting even an ounce of energy on that doesn't make sense. And there is part of my belief system that if something doesn't make sense, not doing it is so the right answer that I would just immediately let go of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I would treat it like, okay, how do I take responsibility? I mean, I just did a whole post yesterday about a phrase that you say all the time, everything is my fault. And so even if it's not directly, like, because I know how that could really hurt someone's like personal ego or I guess self-esteem.
Then their self-esteem is built around the wrong thing.
Yeah, maybe you're right. But I would just say to myself, okay, what part did I play in this? Right? Like, whether it was something that I did or our relationship was weak and I didn't spot the weakness in our relationship, or these were the signs they were giving me that they weren't into me, or these were the signs, like, was there anything that I can learn from and take ownership of in my next relationship? Because I don't ever want to play the victim, ever. And so if I'm able to take control, then I feel I have the power of my own life. And I think it's important to not take that baggage to the next relationship because you're not giving it the chance that it deserves. And so I would literally break everything down and say, what are all the things that I could do differently next time? If I had to relive this.
I'm going to push you a little bit because what he's asking about is insecurity. So how do you deal with the insecurity?
I think it would just take ownership on how I can change. If I had to reflect back into my last relationship, what are the things that I could do differently? And I think the power of that.
But what are you going to do differently if I break up with you because you're too short?
I mean, the great news is I wouldn't be insecure about that. What can I do about it? Nothing.
Has there ever been anything that you've been insecure about?
Oh, Jesus, yes.
Right? So answer from that position. So it's something that you're insecure about, either you can do something about it or you can't.
All right.
How do you handle each?
I was insecure about my nose. I was insecure about
So what did you do about your nose?
So let's take that in my teenage years. Insecure about my nose and insecure about my teeth. So as a kid, I had braces. Obviously, I could do something about that. But with my nose, because I used to get teased for it, so I definitely contemplated, do I have plastic surgery? Like, when I'm old enough, do I do this? And then when I got old enough, I just thought, you know what? The truth is, if someone doesn't like me because of my nose, or someone's going to cheat on me because of my nose, they're not freaking worth it. And so I got secure in addressing my insecurities and then saying, okay, well, I've got control of this. So if I've got control of it, then how do I want to act? Because it's all in your control. So if I want to act, if it really bothers me and I'm insecure about it and I can't get over it, then have a nose job and be done with it. Like, I'm not against plastic surgery at all. But when I realized, like, wow, if that's going to be something that's going to hold someone back from being with me or not being with me, like as a boyfriend, then that actually is great because I can see who they are as a person. And so within that decision making, I became secure.
And can I push it even farther?
Yeah.
So I think that you live in a permanent state of revenge body.
What does that mean?
So revenge body is...
I've never heard that before.
No, come on. Of course you have.
Revenge body?
Yeah. So where someone breaks up with you or they cheat on you or whatever, and you go get in the best shape of your life. And you just look fucking amazing. And you're like, look at what you're missing out on.
Yeah.
So, and you permanently live there. So you to me are... I wish upon every human being to have grown up an ugly duckling and then transform yourself into a beautiful swan. And that to me is exactly what you've done. Like, I reap the benefits every day of you growing up insecure because you're on the inside, you're an obscenely beautiful person who cares so fucking deeply about other people, who like goes to bat for every underdog you ever see anywhere. Like, it is... And I love that about you. I love the way you fall over yourself for old people. I love the way Jesus, this is the only right way to say it. You are pathologically compelled to empower women. Like, you're just obsessed with this idea of like reaching young girls who might be going through something like what you did and wanting to help them find like that inner strength and all that. And the fact that your physique is within your control and it's something that you show up in the gym every day and you put in the hard ass work and like all of that, like, has just turned you into this incredible person that I have just the utmost respect for, that I'm really inspired by. Like, but I see how it was born out of you, like, people made fun of you for things. And it's because you've gained the confidence in other areas that you're like, sure, like people can make fun of me for my nose, and it almost becomes this point of pride that I've done so many other things with myself, with my mind, with my body, with my kindness, with like everything, that I feel so good about who I am, and maybe more importantly, who I'm becoming and who I'm willing to become, to put in the work and all of that, that it doesn't bother me like it used to if somebody were to assail me for those things. And now it's like, even though I could do something about it, I choose not to. So that, to me, like, that's the only way to deal with insecurity. You either brush it off because there's absolutely nothing that can be done about it, or you change it. Like, those are your two options.
Yeah. That was very sweet, baby.
No, it's all true.
Bless you. Thank you.
And it's not like the first time I've said that about the ugly duckling. I love that.
It was very passionate.
Wow.
All right, so we got some fan shout outs. Daniel Bro, who also loved reading Captivate. Yeah.
Great book.
Peter you just give me names to see how much I mess them up, don't you? Harik, who I'm just gonna say first names from now on, who's a teacher and did a Tom style AMA with his students.
Nice.
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
I want to know how that turned out. Did they like it? That's
they
really
were blown
cool.
away. Lives were changed.
Of course they were.
I like to think.
And Marina does.
Wow, Marina D.
There you go.
Marina D.
Who realized that her and her partner need more open communication by watching today's episode. Wow, thank you. And that's all she wrote. That's our last.
Nice. That's it. We're at the end.
Yeah, we're at the end.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we love doing this show. It's incredible for us to be able to process some of these things in front of you guys. Absolutely incredible. And mad shout out to the shady old lady for the Would You Rathers, which just continue to be hateful in the best possible way.
Just wanted to say something quickly actually about health theory, because I posted yesterday. A lot of people are very excited about health theory and they want to know where they can watch it. And so right now we're just figuring out all the exact details. We've shot the pilot. We're going to shoot a couple more, have them in the can. We won't be doing those live.
It will almost certainly be on Facebook Watch. So keep your eyes peeled there, since this is on Facebook. We would have put it on our YouTube page, but we'd get punished from the algorithm because it's to the left of everything else that we do. But
but we'll let you guys know, and so stay tuned.
All right, cool. Thank you guys again for joining us. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and share this, by the way. If this is adding value to your life, hit that share button.
And follow me at Lisa BILYEU.
Yes.
I was going to say follow you, but they're watching this on your channel. So
follow Lisa. They're already here. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Hey everybody, thank you so much for listening. And if this content is delivering value to you, please go to iTunes, go to Stitcher, rate and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about right now. Building this community as big as we can to help as many people as we can, deliver as much value as possible. And you guys rating and reviewing really helps with that. All right, guys, thank you again so much. And until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care.